Hey, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to Real Fan Sports. My name is Zach, and today, both Nonfixion and I will be doing our 2024 NBA playoff bracket. So that means you got to watch this video and his video, and at the end, we will post a community post that allow you to vote on whose bracket you think is the best. So without further ado, let's get into my bracket. We'll start off in the Western Conference, OKC Thunder versus the New Orleans Pelicans. The Pelicans, who are obviously Zion-less, are in a little bit of a funk. Had a bad last of a month, and as a Pelicans fans, it's tough watching them struggle, especially since they were at the 4th seed like 2 months ago. Nevertheless, they're going up against the OKC Thunder, who have elevated their game to new heights, something we all were waiting and anticipating for. Didn't think it was going to be at this big of a level, but here they are sitting at the #1 seed with home field advantage in the first round of the playoffs. And this game, as a fan, I'm going with my Pelicans. Realistically, I think the Thunder and Pelicans are a good matchup. If Zion was there, I'd actually be very confident in this Pelicans pick. My biggest thing now without Zion is how they're going to defend Chet. That's the biggest #1 issue. We're going to have to see how it pans out. But I'm going to go ahead and give it to the Pelicans in 7 games because there is still a chance that Zion might be able to show up sometime around like game 4, game 5. That'd be crazy. Make things interesting. Next up, we'll have the Los Angeles Clippers versus the Mavericks. And I have watched game 1 of all the series so far. This is Sunday night. And I watched the Clippers just tear the Mavericks up. James Harden, that's the key. That was the key I stated before the first game took place, is that Harden's going to have to average 30 points, especially with Kawhi being out with the knee injury. Seeing how he comes back, Harden has to play a major role. But before watching today's game, I did have the Mavericks taking this one. I feel like it's time for Luka and Kyrie, especially Luka, to finally show out in the playoffs. They've gotten here many times. Luka is supposed to be the new face, the new top player in the NBA, and we haven't seen a deep playoff run by him. It's about time this happens. Hopefully, Jason Kidd doesn't fold the bag, or drop the bag, and can help get in there. I still have him over the Clippers. I think it's going to be a tough one. I'm going to say Mavs in 7. You know what? No. Let's go Mavs in 6. I'm going to say Mavs in 6. Next up, we'll have my favorite matchup of the first round between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Phoenix Suns. We have a star-studded matchup, and finally for the Timberwolves, we're going to have Ant being the #1 person on the Timberwolves, the first shot option, something that I love. And then Cat coming back from his injury, playing that secondary role to a T with Rudy Gobert. I think this series is going to be fun against Booker and Kevin Durant. But here's the thing. I don't think it's enough. I think Vucevic is going to get taken out by Gobert. He doesn't extend the court like other centers do that are a little more mobile, and that allows Gobert to just sit in his pocket and chill and relax, and that's what he loves to do. So with this matchup, I'm going to say Timberwolves, and I'm going to say they're going to have it in 6 games. Next up, we're going to have in round 1, so different from last year, as this was our Western Conference Finals matchup between the Denver Nuggets and the Los Angeles Lakers. Much like the Suns, it's that third person, right? I feel like AD and LeBron are going to come out and do what they have to do. Can Reeves show up? Can D'Angelo Russell show up? Can Hachimura show up? There's a couple players that can come up big, and they just need to have one of them show up every game in order to take this series. But unfortunately, I think with the altitude and the struggles that is to play in Denver is going to really weigh this Lakers team down, and I feel like LeBron and AD are going to be running up and down court. LeBron's going to get tired out, and the Nuggets are just going to treat it like a boxing match. Give it all you got the first 2 quarters. They're going to let you sit, keep it close, and then they're going to exploit you at the end. Give me the Nuggets in 6. We'll wrap up our Western Conference. We'll go into the semifinals, Pelicans and Mavs. Now, I know I picked the Pelicans as a fan pick over the Thunder, and I'm not sure if that's true or not. Realistically, I'd say Thunder probably taken in 6 games, but if they do get through and they face the Mavericks or the Clippers, I actually really like the Pelicans in these matchups. We played them well throughout the year. We have a tied series with the Mavericks this year, going 2-2, and it's been close and they've been fun games. I think Pelicans have the advantage over the Mavs, and I think they take it in 6 games. Next up will be Timberwolves and Nuggets, and this will probably be the hardest road and the hardest game, probably the best game in the whole entire playoffs this year between these two. Gobert and Jokic is going to be an interesting matchup. Can Gobert extend out and play Jokic on the perimeter? He's not afraid to do it. Is Gobert afraid to or is he going to stay in that box? How are they going to defend Jokic? That's the question at hand. I really like the Timberwolves this year, and I'm going to give them the edge, but I could see it going either way with Jamal Murray and KCP. There's a lot of things that they could do in Denver and make it hard for any team to beat them. But I want to give the edge to the Timberwolves. I just feel like it's their time, man. Ant is playing with some excitement and some intensity that we haven't seen in quite some time, really around the whole entire league. I hope he continues this drive and deep into the playoffs. I'm going to give it to him in 7. And then for the Western Conference Finals, to be honest, I think whatever team comes out of this Timberwolves Nuggets game goes on to the finals. So I'm going to go say Timberwolves. And realistically, if they're playing the Pelicans, I think it ends up being in 5 games. Maybe, maybe Pels will sneak out too, but I think Timberwolves are just too scary, man. Big bad Wolves. So we'll go into the Eastern side. We'll have the Boston Celtics versus the Heat. And unfortunate for the Heat, even though they have disappointed some higher levels teams, especially last year coming out to play in, I don't think this is the year they do it, especially with Jimmy Buckets being out. And the Celtics they're just deadly in the East. They're not going to have a hard time getting into the finals up until the Eastern Conference or the Eastern Conference Finals. So you got to go with the Celtics. And I'm going to say a gentleman's sweep just because a sweep is mean. But realistically, you know what? Let me be mean. I'm saying in 4 games. I don't think Miami has a shot. Next up, we'll have Cavs and Magic. And this is an interesting matchup for me, at least. I really enjoy seeing 2 young teams that futures are in question, especially with the Cavaliers, not knowing where Donovan Mitchell is going to go next year. But they have a nice young core surrounding them, and we're watching their games elevate. Sit at the 4th seed. They went on a crazy run earlier this year, and it's been fun to watch. And then you have a young Magic team that no one talks about. Paulo Banchero is the real deal, and he's going to prove that in the future. It's coming. Let this man's game develop. Let this team develop. And I see this being a similar story as what OKC is. A lot of young talent. They're doing it the right way, taking the long journey, developing that chemistry. And I think it's going to pay off in the end. I want to say an upset here. I'm not fully confident in it, but this is the upset that I'm going to have. I know they got their butts whooped in game 1, but I'm going to give them the upset in 6 games. Yeah, I'm going to give them the upset in 6 games. I think they can do it. I really do. Next up, we'll have Bucks and Pacers. And even though Giannis is out for the Bucks, Damian Lillard is going absolutely bananas. He has came into this year's playoffs with the intentions of winning a championship. That's why he left Portland to come to Milwaukee to win a championship. With Giannis out, he stepped up big in game 1, and I really expect this to continue to happen. Now, the Pacers, even though I've loved the story and I've loved what Halliburton has done and how this team has developed, this was a team that I didn't see being here. I saw them being very much similar to what they were last year, but they made a big jump. But defensively in the playoffs, it's not enough. There's more half-court sets. It's not so much back and forth like they want to play, and I think the Bucks are going to be able to control that tempo and take this win. We'll go with 6 games because I think Pacers will have some couple moments where they're just going to shoot the lights out. But Bucks at the end, they'll take it. Next up, we're going to have Knicks and 76ers. Give me the Knicks, and I'll tell you what, I'm taking the Knicks in 5. Joel Embiid is trying to come back from injury. I know he's trying to fight back, but his conditioning is not there. He got banged up again in game 1. I feel like that's going to be a common occurrence. Even though it's been fun watching Maxey develop and been a lot of fun watching him play, being that number 1 option with Embiid out, they need Embiid in order to be a force to reckon with in the playoffs. And without him at 100% or really even close to it, I don't even know if he's at 70, 80%. I think it's too tall of an ask, especially with the way the Knicks have been playing recently. Jalen Brunson is playing out of his freaking mind. So give me the Knicks. For the second round matchup in the East, we'll have Celtics and Magic. And again, Celtics. I'll give them gentleman's sweep. It's just too simple for the Celtics. It really is. It's such a difference between the East and the West, and I don't think any of these teams on this side of the bracket here can compete with the Celtics. So in the other matchup, we'll have the Milwaukee Bucks versus the New York Knicks, and this is where it gets interesting. I really felt like the Bucks could beat the Knicks, but my partner Nonpfixion, you'll see in the other video, I'll link it over here, he likes them, and he thinks they can be the sleeper team to make it into the Eastern Conference Finals. The New York Knicks back in the ECF. That'd be a crazy story. But what's even crazier story for me is Damian Lillard getting it done. I would like to say Giannis will be back for this series. I hope he is. And in the hopes that he will be, I'm going to say the Bucks take this one in a very tough fought matchup going 7 games. But if Giannis isn't there, you got to go with the Knicks. And then in our Eastern Conference Finals, the game that everybody has been looking towards or hoping, this is what they thought it was going to be since the beginning of the season, Giannis and Dame versus Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Who moves on? And this is where the story ends for the Milwaukee Bucks and Damian Lillard. It's just not there. It's not enough. The coaching has not been great this year. I don't know what it is with Doc Rivers. I think he's an excellent coach, but there's some things that just concern me so much. They did that switch in the early parts of the season, and things just haven't looked better. They still look lost. I don't know what it is. I don't know what they're missing, but there's something that needs to be changed over there, and it's not going to be enough to take down the Celtics. I'll make it competitive because I think we'll have a couple Dame time nights and we'll have some Giannis takeovers. I'll say in 6 games. That will bring us into the NBA Finals, which will be between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Boston Celtics. Can the Celtics finally do it? Can they finally take home that championship trophy? They've been in the running. They've been favorites over the last several years. They've gotten there, came up short against the Golden State Warriors, now facing the Timberwolves in the finals if this is how it plays out, and I don't know what to do. My gut feeling wants Timberwolves. I feel like the Celtics just haven't played anybody or hasn't consistently played people that are tough to beat. And I feel like going into a 7-game series versus really tough opponents is going to be too much for them. It's not going to be something that they expected. As much as a lot of people say they're a deep team, I'm not a big fan of their bench. I think they got a couple of good shooters, but they're not game changers. It's not people that stand out that can come in and actually fill a big role for them whenever Tatum or Brown has to step out. And I think that's going to be the end for the Celtics here. And I want it to be a good series, so I'm going to say it goes down into 7. Timberwolves win it, NBA Finals championship. And we got the how many total points we think will be scored. I got 219 in the first game. We'll rock with that. So let me know in the comments what y'all think, who you have going to the finals, who you have winning it, where you think I went wrong, where you think I went right, and then also look out for a community post so you can vote on whose bracket was better, me or Nonfixion. Thank y'all for tuning in, guys. Love you guys. We'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.